Alright, yo. So, second time recording this. I'm hoping my computer doesn't crash again. I'm recording two different angles of this so I can show you guys the controllers that I have, what I like about them, what I don't like about them. This is going to be my Battle Beaver PlayStation 4 controller review. It is not a completely custom controller. It is one of the pre-built ones that you can buy off the website. For anybody who's wondering, the question I get most often in my comments is how long is it going to take for me to get my controller? If it is completely customized, it is 8 weeks, so 2 months plus shipping. And then if you are getting a pre-built like I got, it is 8 days to ship, and then whatever standard shipping is, unless you pay for better shipping. I'm going to show you guys the back of the three controllers that I have. I have a stock PlayStation controller, I have a Battle Beaver PlayStation controller, and I have a Scuf Impact. That is my current controller that I use. We're going to go over button placements of what I think you should do depending on your hand size. Stuff like that, little things that Battle Beaver doesn't really include in the details unless you really go looking for it, just to make sure that if you do create your own controller or if you buy a custom controller, you know exactly what you're getting, you know where your money's going, what you're putting your hard-earned dollar into. So without any further ado, I'm going to switch it over to the other camera angle. I have my stock PlayStation controller right here. There's nothing on the back. And this is going to come into play, especially when we talk about the thumbsticks. So here is my Impact. You can see the back of it here. It's got 4 paddle slots, but I only use 2. It's got standard sticks on the front, even though I have a, what do you call it? A FPS Freek on top. Great controller, a little big for my hands, which is why I wanted to make the transition into a Battle Beaver. There's really small problems that I have with Scuf that they're easy fixes in my opinion. I'll go over those in a second, but love the product. It's never done me wrong. It's just that there's some preference things that I would prefer they kind of get on top of before I really either invest in another controller or continue to use mine. So here's my Battle Beaver. It is a pre-built. It's clear. It's got 2 buttons on the back instead of 4. You can see them right here. What I thought were standard sticks, it's got the smart triggers, smart bumpers. Everything feels absolutely brilliantly clean, great build quality. I have no complaints about the controller whatsoever. The reason why I'm returning it is my own personal preference, and that is 2 things in particular, maybe 3 if I had to get really nitpicky. Number 1 being the placement of the buttons. So I'm the kind of guy where I hold my controller pretty high because I have small hands. I want to be able to hit these buttons with my middle fingers, but with how I play, the reach just doesn't work like that for me, so I have to push my hands up and then try and use my ring fingers. The problem with me for that is, this is super in particular, but if you try and press with your ring finger as opposed to your middle finger, I feel like it really adjusts like the middle of your hand when you're aiming, and it makes it feel really awkward to press buttons with that middle finger. Especially considering the button is more so on the inside of the controller, which means when your finger is wrapped around it, you're not only pushing a button, but you have to push it like this way. You have to push it to the side, which is really hard for my fingers to do. The other thing, which is, actually no, we'll continue on the buttons. So for me, I like to hold my controller high. They didn't have high placements for buttons when I first tried to make my Battle Beaver a few years back, which is why I never bought one. They had medium, standard, low. I think they included lower and high now because some people for low and lower, I have no clue who's using that. Maybe you have gigantic hands, or maybe you just hold your controller differently. I really think I'm gonna like the high button placement. I've ordered a custom controller. It's gonna take a long time to get here. Totally cool, I get it, COVID and all that stuff. I would even feel like I would probably perform better on medium. That way I could use my middle fingers to hit the buttons. Standard just isn't really it for me. If you have smaller hands, like if you're younger, or if you're just like me and you have abnormally smaller hands for some reason, I would honestly probably try and get a controller that has anywhere from medium to high. If you like using your other fingers other than your middle fingers, go ahead and go for those lower options, but they're not for me. The second thing about the Battle Beaver, I don't know if you can really tell the difference, but looking at the controller, you can see that my thumbsticks are kind of gray, and they look like stock thumbsticks, which I thought they were, but when you compare them to the default controller sticks look a little bit different. They feel almost the same, the texture's a tiny bit different. What I didn't realize on the website is when you go to build your own custom controller, like here, right now we're on right thumbstick and left thumbstick, you can pick what you want. So they have OEM, stock, domed, pro, Xbox One, aluminum, interchangeable, and Z sticks. I've heard good things about Z sticks and about what do you call them? Pro sticks, but Xbox One I've never used. Aluminum, that sounds weird to me. Interchangeable sounds absolutely horrible, just in my opinion. I've never tried them, don't take my word for it. And then you have stock and OEM. So OEM here looks like a regular thumbstick. Stock also looks like a regular thumbstick, but darker. The confusing thing about this is that if you do your research, OEM is actually the type of thumbstick that comes with a standard PlayStation controller, whereas stock is what they have in stock, and it is basically a replica or an almost exact match to the PlayStation thumbstick. So if you're really used to what you're using right now on a standard controller, I would most definitely select OEM. It doesn't cost you any more than stock does. I don't really know why they offer the stock other than for those people that want to get really funky with it and change the color of their thumbstick. Third and final thing about the Battle Beaver, I love the smart trigger, smart bumper thing. You probably can't hear it. It's super cool. It makes it so that when you click your buttons, it is a mouse click. Only problem I have is with the lower triggers. When you're doing something like racing, or if you want to cook a grenade, or anything that really requires, like, you want to feel that push, I kind of lost that with the click. It makes it a little weird. It's almost like you get the input, you get the feedback of clicking the button, but it's like, let's say I want to like hit the throttle, or I want to do a drift that requires a certain amount of acceleration or braking or whatever. You kind of lose out on that. Other than that though, I mean, honestly, for what this is, it's pretty brilliant. The build quality is through the roof. They got it to me pretty quick. The only thing I had a problem with was shipping, but that's from the actual shipping company, not them. I'll talk a little bit about Battle Beaver compared to Scuf if anybody's worried about that, kind of like which company they want to go with. So here's my impact. I've been using my impact for years. It has never done me wrong. I don't have any of the problems that I've ever seen anybody else complain about. I don't know if it's because I got lucky or because I take care of my stuff really well. I don't have any stick drift. I don't have any buttons losing functionality. I don't have anything like that. Keep in mind, I only use 2 of the paddles. I use my far left for jump, which is X, and my far right for circle, which is crouch or lay down. The only problems that I have with my Scuf are, they're pretty big in my opinion, but I've found ways around them. So it comes with a stock PlayStation sticks, but I put FPS Freeks on them. The problem with that, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this, but I'll try and demonstrate it. If you put FPS Freeks on, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but the little like feet on the FPS Freek will like grind into your controller because it's not really set up for you to use these on it, even though it is stock standard, not stock, I should say OEM standard thumbsticks, which is kind of making my controller look really bad, even though it still works really well. I wish I had gotten smart triggers and bumpers on it. I wish it was a little bit smaller. I wish they had an option for people with smaller hands that also could use 4 paddles. I know that probably doesn't make sense because I only use 2 of the paddles. I looked into getting the Scuf 4PS Pro. I'm going to be honest though, the fact that the 4PS Pro, and a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people don't know why they do this, but on the 4PS Pro, you can only get, maybe I should look it up. You can only get the, Scuf thumbsticks, which doesn't make any sense at all to me. I don't really get it. It's like, yo, it's a controller. Let me just go ahead and put regular PlayStation thumbsticks into it. I've done a ton of research on this. I've talked to streamers about it. The OG streamers who have the original Scuf 4PS have the original thumbsticks in the controller. They even have, I think a couple guys, I think maybe Unrational, if you ever heard of him. He has a 4PS Pro, but he has the standard thumbsticks in it. I don't know how he did that. It's not as simple as just unlocking them, taking the thumbstick out, and then putting a standard one in. It doesn't work like that anymore. If you try and do that, the dome on the bottom of the stick where you like have to lock it into place is too big and it won't let you do it. I'm not sure how he got around it. He said he has like people at Scuf because he's partnered that can do that for him, but obviously in a perfect world I would have already gotten one of these by now with standard thumbsticks, because if you don't know already, The Scuf thumbsticks, I hate to say it because I love the product, but the Scuf thumbsticks are absolutely chalked. They're god awful, terrible. I hate to say it. I feel so bad saying it because they put out a great product, but man, those thumbsticks wear out instantly if you are a hardcore gamer. I might as well validate myself right now. I've been using my Impact for years with the standard thumbsticks, no wear and tear on the thumbsticks at all. I used the Battle Beaver for a week, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but I'm talking like anywhere between 4 to 5, maybe 7 hours of gaming a day in that week. I know that sounds like I have no life, which I don't. Absolutely zero wear and tear on the controller whatsoever, no problems with that at all. They're letting me return it for full discount. You can even get store credit if you want to buy another controller. I went ahead and customized my own controller. It did a ton to it that I think is really gonna, I don't know, help me out, be exactly what I want it to be. What I will say for anybody out there who's worried about gaming against people who have either better or different controllers than them, your skill level on a standard controller, the cap that you can get to is absurdly high. I promise you, if you're watching this video, you're probably like me, you're probably not one of the best players in the world. You probably are looking for a way to get an advantage, and these controllers will give you an advantage, but they won't make you play any better in that they're not going to improve how you think about the game, how you handle situations. They could help with your aim and with your response time and things like that, but what I will say is that the controller is only a higher ceiling for you to reach rather than the standard controller. If you do not feel like you've reached your ceiling on the standard controller and you don't have a ton of money, please do not feel the need to go out and get one of these controllers. While I do love these products and I think they are absolutely god tier in production value and stuff like that, you most certainly do not need to get one. I don't think I have a whole lot else for you guys. Maybe I'll include some pictures or like a video of my controller. I don't know, you don't really need to see it because I'm returning it. I'll do a full review on my custom controller. If anybody has any questions, leave them in the comments. If anybody wants to know the differences in customization between Scuf and Battle Beaver, let me know. I'll make a video on that. As always, it's been your boy. Catch me on stream. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.